It really looks magnificent.
Greetings, adventurers, and welcome once again to another episode of Knights of Prospect, a Dungeon World actual play streamed every Saturday here on 2MB Studios at 8 p.m. I am Rob Mulligan, one who is playing Ronaldo Francis Mackay the Fourth. I almost said a different D&D character. Ronaldo Francis Mackay the Fourth, that the foppish noble and bard who is currently entangled in some family drama. His family might be evil. And among other things, I am joined by four other lovely players who are going to introduce themselves now. Whitney, who are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm Whitney Hawkins. I play Hazel Pippet, a rather naive halfling druid who came down from the mountains. Currently, her latest thing is she met a long-lost cousin who's also a Knight of Prospect. So that's super exciting because she thought she was the only one in her family who ever left the mountain. It's awesome. Very touching and heartwarming. Yeah, so that's Hazel.
Kylie, why don't you tell us about your character?
Hello, I am Kylie, and I play Ellsworth, aka Jelly, aka a mischievous 11-year-old human thief. Who's really kept their family in the dark as to what they are up to. Their sort of subversive underbelly, seedy trading, dealing, stealing, creeping behavior, but just with kind of hopeful, grand ideas about it, exploring the world and stealing really shiny, nice little things. And I recently befriended this little guy. It's a shark. I recently befriended a charcuterie gnome, and it really opened up my heart and mind.
Oh, gosh.
The meaning of true love.
So cute.
Ryan, who are you playing today?
I'm playing
always.
And always. Yes, by day, I am Ryan Daly. By night, I'm usually Ryan Daly. But tonight, I am Gwari Shitbeard,
Gesundheit.
Thank you. The Dwarven legionary who likes to fight. And stonemasonry. A good appreciation for stonemasonry.
Deep appreciation.
Most other things, not a big fan. The charcuterie, no. Adorable. Great. Gregory, no. He hates it. Doesn't have time for it. Maybe a little jealous of the beard.
And of course, I'm going to give the rest of the hosting reins off to our lovely game master, John Serpico. Say hi, John.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, players, for playing, and watchers and listeners for watching and listening. So one thing that I was thinking a lot about is, because this is now our 30th episode, so yay for us, 30.
Woo! Big number.
Is just the journey that you've all been through as characters so far. And it's funny to think like all of you are in many ways the same as when we started, but in many other ways, much, much different, affected by your adventures. And I just think that's really kind of fun. Like the overall arc of the show so far has been really the first kind of 2/3 of these 30 sessions have been all of you essentially building up your reputation and renown enough to join the Knights of Prospect. And now that you have joined the Knights of Prospect, you immediately must protect all of the Riverlands from some calamity that you are currently trying to figure out what it is and how to research it and all of that. You are, in fact, not even in the Riverlands right now. You've had to go somewhere else, and now you're kind of planning this big return. So it's just really funny to think that over 30 episodes, all of this stuff has happened, and it still feels in a lot of ways like you're at the very beginning of something grand. So it speaks to the duality of person kind, I suppose. where you could already have all this experience, but just be at the beginning of something even bigger. So that's what I've been thinking about this week as we're approaching our 30th episode. So, are there any notable moments of kind of character change or character revelation from these first 30 episodes that anyone wants to share in a sentence or so?
Well, right now we're not even at Tower Town, so that's a big one.
Yeah, you crossed a great big ocean to get to another country to ostensibly save the other Knights of Prospect. Only upon arriving there did you realize they didn't need saving, and they're glad you all showed up to help prevent the apocalypse.
Yeah. I think for Hazel, it was meeting Yava, the rather evil and sexy deep elf who is threatening another mountain, which Hazel takes very personally and is also quite up in her feelings because she may be attracted to her. So this is a lot for someone who's never left their hometown before.
Yeah, it's a very, very star-crossed situation where, there's a lot of data showing that Yava might be evil, or if not evil, then really interested in causing chaos. But at the same time, the heart wants what it wants.
Got them cheekbones.
I mean, who could forget the literal character change that Vil went through, becoming.
There she is now.
There's Vil. Yes, Vil becoming Leven Stevenson inhabiting the body of Vil, and Vil then revenanting herself revenanting back from the forest. Unclear.
I don't know.
Yes, hello, Vil.
Yeah, it's a death and return to life in a new body at a time of great need. Pretty good.
Pretty good indeed.
Pretty good. Speaking of pretty good, let's give just a very, very quick, a super quick synopsis of kind of where everybody is. So, all of the Knights of Prospect, the new Knights of Prospect, as well as the existing legacy Knights of Prospect, are essentially at this holy site called Teknus, which is this place that's kind of serving as your base, because you're all at some point going to return on ships back to Tower Town, take control of the town from an evil wizard, and then try to defend the town from some unknown calamity. So all that's in the future, but that's kind of what you're preparing to do. The preparations are going to take some time. And really every kind of adventure we've been going on for the last few weeks has been like another piece of this puzzle of kind of getting equipment, getting supplies, getting knowledge, getting insight, getting glimpses of the future, so that when you eventually recross the ocean and get back to Tower Town, you'll be ready to do what needs doing. So this is a very fun time to be watching or tuning in for the first time to Knights of Prospect, because kind of every episode's this fun little standalone adventure. So I think that's about as much preamble as we need to give. So let's get right to it. The first thing you all do is that you make sure none of your bones are broken. Because you probably fell about 25 feet. So it's a minor miracle that you are all okay. Okay being a relative term, you are all covered in rubble. You were heading back to Teknus after completing a task. What was that task? Anyone at all that you were sent to do to further your preparations?
We were sent to recover some wood in the area, some long trees for shipbuilding material. The cleffy trees.
Ooh, cleffy.
Yeah, the cleffy trees are famous for their kind of strength to weight ratio. They are kind of watertight, and they're meant to build. You can essentially cut them quickly, lash them together into ships quickly, and they'll take to sea. You don't use them to build warships, but you use them to build kind of fast attack ships or real fast transport ships, the kind of which you will need to eventually cross the ocean in force again. So, you were leading this big team of loggers and local laborers that were felling these trees. You were identifying good trees and stuff. And you were all, they're kind of taking all this cut lumber back to Teknus the long way. But you were making your way back to Teknus the short way, which is along a path through the hills. But unfortunately, there was some kind of sudden collapse. Like you were walking up this hill path, and you felt the ground under you start to shake and give. And before you knew it, you literally fell through a hole in a hillside. And you fell quite a ways, landed in a big pile, and now here you are in essentially a tunnel.
Dirt.
I have a pebble in my ear.
Everybody okay?
I think so. I definitely don't know where my deck of cards is. Everything else I know. Everything else is fine. I think. Ow. Am I bleeding? No, I don't.
I don't see anything.
Red dirt. Red.
It's like a burrow of some sort.
Huh.
Yeah. It's like a nest.
Yeah, it's these definitely aren't natural tunnels. Something dug them out. And actually, Gregory, let's have you roll for it. You are into this kind of architecture, I suppose, or lack thereof. So how about you roll 2d6 plus your wisdom for a discern realities roll? I'll give you a +1 because why not? And tell me what you get.
Well, thank you. I got a 6 then.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a failure. However, that's in this game there really are no failures because you're going to get information. It's just going to be really bad.
Wonderful.
These are goblin tunnels.
Oh.
These are goblin tunnels.
Smells like it.
It smells like a mix of beef jerky and oranges, and that's what's most upsetting to me. But not good oranges, spoiled oranges.
Like burnt. They're like burnt oranges.
That's what goblins smell like.
It's like when skunks mate.
Ugh.
That's what goblins smell like.
It's like pine tar, but used as a condiment.
Everyone all right?
A little dust in my eyes, but yes, otherwise.
All right, guard up.
All right.
These things are weak, but they're plentiful. They move in packs.
Okay.
Yeah. You've essentially kind of collapsed through what was a road, but in actuality is a ceiling to a kind of goblin nest / city / empire. It's kind of tough to tell. Gregory, like all that the part of the dwarven hegemony that you're from doesn't really have a goblin presence.
A goblin problem.
A goblin, yeah, depending on who you ask, it's a goblin problem. But yeah, it's very clear that goblins kind of work this out, especially as you kind of work your way through this tunnel. This isn't like a mine shaft. Like there aren't support structures and beams. It's all just kind of hewn through rock and stone and dirt, meaning you're walking over like minor collapses. And generally the only time that there's any kind of structural support is when they build some kind of trap or defensive position. Speaking of, you're approaching something that has a lot of structural support, and so you all stop. The hole you fell through was kind of at the beginning of a tunnel. And if like Gregory kind of did some call it forensic architectural analysis and realized that the goblins probably didn't even know they were burrowing up towards the surface.
That's how bad they are. It's embarrassing, really. Badgers would do a better job.
Yeah. And so, you were almost at like the start of whatever you're walking into. And so you're kind of walking, and Gregory is giving you, in no uncertain terms, his thoughts on goblins and how they expand and what they do to the natural landscape. And you walk, and all of a sudden you start seeing like support beam, like rough-hewn support beams in this tunnel. And you stop because on the floor, like the bottom of this tunnel here, for about 7 or 8 feet, there's just a giant pile of leaves in this tunnel, and just kind of beyond the leaves is a big recess in the roof.
That's a hole, definitely.
That, from my discerning eye, is a trap.
I'm just gonna ask the wind real quick to just kind of rustle up those leaves.
Sure. You ask the spirit of the wind, and the wind does indeed do that.
Oh, bless your heart.
Yeah, and there's just you hear, what's it like when you commune with kind of one of the elements, when you ask the ground or ask the wind? What's it like to talk to the wind?
Oh, for wind, it's a lot of whooshing noises, and it's more just an internal feeling. And with wind, you can tell real quick if it's happy or sad.
Yeah, the wind is not thrilled to be down here because the wind is carrying a lot of stench down here, and wind generally doesn't like to be confined, nor does it like to be carrying thick sulfurous aromas like it is. But the wind does you a favor, and the wind kind of blows from within the tunnel, like back towards where you came from. So you're getting some nice, fresh, gross smells from deeper in.
Oh,
I don't like how it's sweet. I don't.
It's thick.
It's like rotten eggs and maple syrup. I just can't. It's
Oh, it's like when mushrooms go bad and then they get eaten.
Just put it out of your mind. Put it out of your mind.
Ugh, mushrooms. The mushrooms that grow on mushrooms. The worst mushrooms.
Meta mushroom.
With the leaves blown away, there is on the floor here. So, this cave is just uneven stone and packed earth and all that. But for the next 7 or 8 feet, there are a collection of 2 or 3 foot wide, smooth-ish stones. As if it's with real big pieces of slate, they like cobbled this 7 or 8 feet.
I'm gonna use my shillelagh and just kind of poke at it.
Sure. So you're just one of the do you want to use the shillelagh?
Yeah. No, I just want to see what happens if I poke it.
Gotcha.
Just a good old poke with a stick.
Good old poke with a stick. Why not? So let's just have you roll 2d6. Let's just see what happens.
All right. 6.
Oh, okay.
Big number today. Big night for 6s.
You start poking at one of these big, call them cobblestones, and after a little bit of poking, the one cobblestone kind of sinks into the ground about half an inch, and you hear the distinct sound of a rope snapping.
Oh!
And you're all like,
Back up.
You all hit the ground.
This is an insidious kind of Rube Goldberg style trap. I feel I've seen something like this before.
It's definitely taking its time to get here, for sure.
For sure. I would like to survey this trap using my expertise in the art of trapsmanship. and hopefully disable it.
Okay, let's have you do 2d6 plus your dexterity.
Okay. So we have 2d6 here.
7 is a partial success. 10 is a full success.
All right. I have a 9 plus dexterity is 110.
All right.
Perfect.
The good news is that you know exactly what this trap is. The bad news is it cannot necessarily be disabled. It is, in fact, too simple to be disabled. What it is in that recess in the ceiling is a giant log. A giant log like a battering ram, about as wide as this tunnel. It is held in place by ropes that are counterweighted somewhere under the floor. And one of the 2 ropes that are stopping it from swinging and crashing into you like a bowling ball has just been cut. So what that means is apparently any of these stones, if you step on it, will cause the log to just swing down into all of you.
All right. This log wants to crush us with gravity.
Sure does.
What if we just jump over it? What if we jump over the step zone? That
I wouldn't ascribe desire to a log.
I mean,
Personifying inanimate objects helps me connect to my environment. Sometimes.
Trees can want stuff. Logs really can't. They're dead. I'm
That's
really
dead.
sorry to tell you that.
I'm fairly
could it-
neutral on the log emotion debate. If I'm honest.
If a log is a dead tree, could it be a ghost? Have some kind of tree. It's a tree ghost of
Oh no,
sorts.
its ghost is somewhere else.
I feel like we're getting off track.
Yeah.
We need
All
to
right.
go
Let's
ahead.
not step on the stones, please. Maybe no more poking of the stones.
No
No more
stone.
poking from me.
Don't do a magic on the stones.
You don't do a magic, Gregory. You cast.
What was that
a spell.
wind then?
That
That
wasn't.
was a magic.
That was a conversation and a friend helping a friend out.
Magic is an adjective. It's not necessarily a verb. You don't do magic. You don't magic.
And you said,
Now
"Oh,
I'm getting off track. I'm sorry.
You understood what I said.
Okay.
right. Language is about communication. So if we understood, perhaps that's enough." Okay, let's get our hands dirty.
All right, so what do you want to do?
Are looking at this trap, is there how big of a jump across is it, and is there any sort of gap between the trap and the wall, i.e. could I like shimmy beside the step zones and avoid them if the jump is too far?
So it's about 7 or 8 feet of a leap, which it's within the bounds of human athletics. As far as whether or not you might be able to shimmy along the side, well, let's let the dice decide. Ronaldo, 2d6 plus your wisdom.
Not a very good shimmier or jumper, so
Yeah, you're kind of doing the math to say, all right, is there a seam along the wall here? Can I tiptoe? This is you kind of making the determination for everybody else.
9.
So yes, because of that, you kind of assess the situation, and the way it's going to work is you can jump this thing, and that's a strength test, or you can shimmy along the side, and that's a dexterity test.
Well, I'm not a good jumper, but I am also stronger than I am fast, which is a problem. Without thinking, Ronaldo just bounds and jumps.
Awesome. Now, before you tell me what you get, here's how this is going to work.
Oh boy.
There is kind of a clock on this now. Anyone that fails at doing either of these things is going to just trigger this trap. Or the second person that only gets a partial success is going to trigger this trap. So everyone that just full successes it, they just get right across. But, there's a clock here. So Ronaldo is bounding. Ronaldo's the first one to give this a shot. Tell me what you get.
Hup! Well, that is a 6.
All right. Ronaldo, you kind of sprint and jump, and the thing that slows you down is the ceiling. You were trying for a long jump, which involves you actually getting a couple of feet off the ground. And after a couple of feet, you actually start scraping your head against the ceiling, and you kind of land right in the middle of the cobblestones, and you're standing on like this stone cobble. And then after like half a second, you feel it sink into the earth a little bit, and you hear a snap.
Everyone get down on the ground, quick! And I just flatten myself.
All right. So mercifully, you all know it's coming. So you all get down low. And yeah, sure enough, a giant battering ram-like log emerges from that recess in the ceiling and swings down and kind of smashes into the backs and shoulders of all of you. Ronaldo, you are kind of slid backwards by its just weight and heft, and you all are kind of mushed backwards in a pretty ferocious push.
Badger.
Just to set proper expectations here, I want everyone to just shout out your hit points. Just shout them out just so the audience knows.
We've healed since last time, correct?
Oh, sure. Yeah, you're feeling great.
Then 16. Then I'm fine. Those dryads did some
18.
16.
16.
All right. You all take 8 damage.
Christ.
Whoa.
This is a massive blow from a log that kind of shoves you all backwards.
Does my armor deflect?
Your armor will. It soaks
minus
some of
2
that damage. And now, you're essentially now in a corked bottle. There's now just this giant log in the middle. You all get up. You're now hurt and wrenched. At least one of your elbows might be broken. You're all in pain.
Hate goblins.
I think that is a good sign that we are not welcome here, and I think we should just go the other way, frankly.
Or if we're not, maybe we tell each other before we go poking or leaping over stones or not leaping over stones.
Well, I got over most of them. There was just that final one my butt landed on, and boy, it was not comfortable. And then it was very uncomfortable because I got hit
Game
with
of stones almost doesn't count.
I have a deep bruise on my clavicle.
Yeah, actually, one thing I'm noticing is that our dear friend Vil in the chat is noting that at least one of you does have one of her poultices, a bottle of what's called scum salve.
Oh, good. That's pretty much going to smell good down here.
Yeah, so anyone that wants to rub this on themselves can heal 1 right now.
Oh, I'll rub it all over me.
Yeah, so you all whoever wants to, I'll let you all keep track yourselves. Kind of reach a hand in and just start smearing it on wherever hurts. It's like a Vicks Vapo Rub, only it smells like a bog.
Ugh. It's now like minty rotten eggs. Oh my god!
My clavicle feels better.
It smells as bad as I hurt.
Hazel,
Yeah.
how are you with roots?
Pretty good.
Can you do another magic?
I can have a conversation.
Don't.
Do a magic and make the roots grow down. We can use roots and swing across.
You don't do. It's not important.
All right, I can see what they say. There's no promises. All right.
I'm rooting for you.
Uh,
I like that. That was a good
Hey,
one.
Roots.
Hazel, what's it like to talk to the roots of a tree or a forest network?
Oh, trees are chattier.
Mm.
They like actually talk.
Yeah. We shall answer.
Oh, hey.
Hello. This is apparently a connected root system, so there are probably a couple of dozen trees that are speaking like a choir to you right now.
Oh, it's beautiful. Y'all have great harmony.
We thank you, we thank you, we thank you.
Oh, all right. I was just wondering real quick if you could help me and my friends here. We just got to swing across this little bit of tunnel. So would you mind coming down just a little bit, stretching toward us so we can just swing right across?
You have asked us kindly, and so we shall oblige. They're going to try. So essentially, this log is about as wide as the tunnel. So you can't really go through it. So really, it's about kind of getting over it and kind of swinging in the empty space above it, which you think you can do if you had some handholds in the form of roots. The big trick is whether or not the roots growing through the loose soil will cause a cave-in. It's almost certainly not going to happen. But just to say we did it, let's just have you roll 2d6 plus 3, because these roots know what they're doing, and tell me what you get.
All right. I believe in you, Roots.
This seems like a good idea.
8.
Okay.
Oh,
So the good news and the bad news of this partial success is that the roots do indeed emerge. And so you're able to actually get up over this big log and kind of use them to swing / leap / handhold your way across the top of the log through the empty space of the tunnel and then back to the other side. The bad news is that once you're across, there is a bit of a cave-in, which kind of plugs up everything behind you. So no matter what from here on out, you can't go backwards.
Thank you, Roots.
We thank you, we thank you, we thank you.
They were sweet.
Wow.
And onward you go. You're kind of following your nose here. And it smells like you're getting closer to something. But the tunnel's now getting kind of narrower to the point where Ronaldo, as a human adult, you're the tallest one here. It's the point where now you're starting to hunch, whereas the Hazel, Jelly, and Gregory can walk normally. You're now kind of down here.
My back hurts for a new reason.
Oh, you want my shillelagh?
No, I'm crouching. My back hurts from the log.
To lean on.
Oh,
You could
no,
crawl.
good idea. Good idea. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You are very nice to me. You don't need to be. But I appreciate it.
I'm nice to everybody.
Well, you're just very nice. I like that about you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I hope we don't die down here.
Yeah,
We
that
won't
would be nice.
die.
And so you make it kind of further in, and there are actually a couple of paths that kind of branch off from here, but they are essentially goblin sized. They're about 1.5 feet tall, meaning goblins could probably scamper single file, arms and knees up through these things, but none of you can get through them. So you're kind of stuck on this path until eventually you get to another supported structure, which is, you see a bunch of wooden beams all almost like a maze, like a tiny little forest of wooden beams. And yeah, Jelly, your trap sense starts tingling immediately. And again, this is a trap of magnificent simplicity. It's a bunch of wooden beams that are holding up a giant pile of heavy boulders. And the wooden beams are spaced such that goblins could probably run through them, but anyone larger can't.
Goblins are smart. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
Goblins are using wood underground. They're not smart.
I don't know. It's pretty smart to me.
That's going to rot away in at least a couple of decades. It's not built to last.
But for now, it's formidable. And it's rather clever. Wow. They're very slinky and small, diminutive even. So they're able to traverse this. You know what? This trap, it's almost poetic. So simple. God, so simple.
Oh, Jelly, are you okay?
I've never seen you turn so red.
You're just really. I can't tell if you're upset or excited or A, B.
The same color as a cardinal.
It's an excellent bird. It's just being underground and all. I mean, these dead trees and these boulders. It's the underworld, and I like the underbelly, but I haven't seen a cardinal in so long. And these traps, I feel I won't be outwitted. Not again. I'm 11. I'm 11.
I'm 30.
I'm lost. What is this? You disarming it?
This is me mentally preparing.
Okay. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt. I'm just want to make sure.
It's okay. I have a process.
Okay, you do your process. Continue to monologue about the ingenuity of goblins, and
all right. I'm putting my hand 1 inch away from one of the logs. It's not wet at all.
Oh,
these are not supple logs. Okay, I'm going to disarm this trap.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so let's have you roll to disarm this trap. 2d6 plus your dexterity.
Okay.
What was
I
the
rolled-
part with the wet logs? I
rolled a 5. Plus 1 is 6.
Okay,
Oh my God.
that is yet another failure.
We have great luck today, y'all.
So I'm gonna give you an option, Jelly. You've got kind of 2 options. Both of them are bad. One is you essentially all just tuck your shoulders, bite down on a piece of leather, and kind of sprint and smash through these wooden supports in the hope that you outrun being crushed by stones. The other option is you all find a way to grease yourself up and slide down a goblin hole.
The solve. We have the gross, yucky smelling minty goo.
That'll slick you up like a snail.
It's just viscous enough to work.
It's like a banana slug. Okay.
What's your assessment?
I say we get slicked up. I say we don't say die. Not today.
We don't say die. Not today.
Yep. So you have a little of this stuff goes a really long way, which
It is viscous.
it's almost pulpy, but you kind of get this stuff on there, and it really coats.
Like a jellyfish.
I feel
Yeah.
great, though.
Yeah.
I do feel great. I just smell awful.
Yeah, a dab will do ya.
Yeah, and you're covering, like Gregory has the right of it. Like his helmet is literally too big and too rigid, so he has to like take it off and kind of hide it behind him. And so you all smell just so bad, so terribly bad.
The good news is I can't smell the goblin anymore.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, and so you all end up going covered in this fermented, slippery paste up to one of the kind of goblin, like miniature goblin tunnels, and you hope against hope that that you're not going to be in it for a while, because it literally like goes a few feet and then turns and then just darkness. So, you're all kind of putting your faith in the continued viscosity and low friction properties of this goop, and the fact that you will not be in this tunnel forever. So you all kind of get in there. Who's brave enough to go first?
I'll go first.
Hazel, are you going in halfling form, or do you want to make this even easier on yourself?
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. Let's go with a groundhog.
Easy peasy. So just roll. Let's see how much groundhogging you can do. That's going to be 2d6 plus your wisdom.
That is a 9.
All right, no problem. So you can do 3 actions as a groundhog. Groundhogs can build or chew. So you can build or chew up to 3 times. And you turn into a groundhog. And Hazel, you're the first down there. And you kind of run a quick little reconnaissance mission.
Am I still slippery?
Oh yes, even more so, because now the effects of the stuff have condensed in a smaller form.
Slippery groundhog, here I come.
So boom, it's like a little water slide. You kind of zip down, and it's probably 20-ish feet. There is at one point like kind of a rock that protrudes from the ceiling that you end up just kind of burrowing loose and pushing with you so that it doesn't snag anybody. And it leads down into kind of a larger chamber that it's all dark, but you see light and movement in the distance. So that's kind of the reconnaissance, is everyone will be able to get down and stand back up again, but there's something ahead.
All right.
How is that not a magic?
No,
how is that not a magic?
It is magic. It's I feel like the particle that you are using is not what you're using, a wrong particle. It's you don't like.
You're saying 1 unit of magic, a magic.
Yes.
Is that what you mean?
Yes, a magic was used.
Yeah, that's correct.
To turn Hazel.
That's good.
From a halfling to that. That's a magic.
Slippery beaver.
It's just magic. You don't magic it. It can either be magic or it's you don't typically put a particle in front of it.
I didn't say she magicked it. I said it was a magic.
That's tense. That's a different thing.
You're getting you look tense.
I'll show you tense.
I was
Slippery badger.
I think that's the signal.
That is.
That's the signal.
Groundhog.
Who wants to slide down? I feel like I'm not gonna fit, but I can try.
Yeah. So Ronaldo, you kind of heave a deep breath and exhale it all, and kind of wriggle in, and much to your surprise, the slickness of this awful smelling goo kind of shoots you through here with a minimum of fuss. You don't slide through with the swiftness of Hazel in groundhog form.
Oh, it's rough.
After like one of the most stressful, gross, stinky minutes of your life, you end up kind of wriggling out like an earthworm, kind of coming up out of the ground.
It's like being born, I assume. Oh my god.
Yeah. And
I kind of bite his cloak and help him come out.
You sort him back out.
Horrible.
Jelly and Gregory, you two soon follow. It's disgusting. You're in a you're stinky and moving through this tube. It's not even a cave; it's a tube to you. But eventually, you all kind of settle up, and you stand up, and it's pungent, and you're filthy now. And yeah, now that the four of you are here, you realize you're in. You must be under that hill at this point. Because there's kind of a cavern, not just like a tunnel, but like an actual cavern up ahead. You're kind of in the shadows at the edge of it. But in the middle of the cavern, there is a fire, a rather large fire, and through the smoke and the haze, you see around it lots and lots and lots of little figures. And one big figure.
Should we sneak around? We all smell. So
How far away are they from us?
Good question. Someone just pick a number between 50 and 100.
38.
38. They're about 38 feet away.
They're about 38 feet away.
Oh, good eye. It looks like a ceremony, like a religious practice.
It is a religious practice. There is the goblin. There will be at some point in the history of this grand world books written about goblin theological theory. But what you could all tell is they kind of just worship the biggest one. And the biggest one here is Ronaldo, probably about your size. Probably.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, somewhere between 5.5 and 6 feet tall, which for a goblin is immense.
Look at that bastard.
He's immense.
Tall goblin.
The goblin is covered in leathers and like you approach a little bit. You're trying not to be seen, but you approach as like an outcropping you all hide behind and you look.
Wait,
and
is he wearing stilts? He's on painter stilts.
He is on painter stilts.
He's on the stilts that you can walk. He's just a regular sized goblin on stilts.
But what else does this goblin have?
Oh.
There's a lot of ruddy. I can't tell if it's paint or tattoos. It's definitely decorated its skin somehow.
Yeah, he has leather chaps.
And he has a little monocle.
He has a pillbox hat.
He's real fancy.
And he has a huge axe.
I want to kill it.
We can just sneak by.
He's
a goblin on painter stilts.
They have put us through so much, and they defoul this earth.
Their traps are so simple.
But if we push him over, he'd just probably fall. But I don't know. He has ungodly balance.
A fall from grace, perhaps.
Hazel, can you magic that wind again?
So I'm still a groundhog. Hey, wind. Oh, sorry. What'd you want me to do with the wind?
I don't
Stoke
speak
the flames.
Oh, okay.
Oh, right. Hey, wind. Could you just go on over there and kind of make the fire bigger?
And with that, a kind of buffeting wind emerges from the stinky goblin tube that you emerged from and starts swirling around the cavern. It's kicking up dust and dirt and even more older stench. And the fire, which was kind of like a big campfire, is now more like a roaring fire. A bunch of the goblins kind of peel back. There are a couple dozen here. apparently this giant stilted goblin was giving them some kind of speech, oration, orders, something. They were in the middle of something. But now a couple of goblins literally tumble backwards from the flame on fire. A couple of goblins scatter. The giant stilted axe goblin starts kind of screaming and beckoning and sends a couple of them to grab those that were running away. And yeah, now there is kind of chaos and tumult. You've interrupted some manner of ceremony.
Well,
Yes.
All right, we can sneak around now.
Do they see us? Does it look like they see us, or?
Well, someone's gonna have to do something here. One of you will lead the sneak effort. And it doesn't have to be some kind of sneak roll. Just someone give me an idea as to how you would, essentially in a giant room, sneak around 25 sets of eyes.
Okay, I got it. We take one of the goblins that got charred up, and he died, and he's charred up, and I'll hold him in front of me, and walk. I'll walk across, and I'll have him as like a body blockade, like a puppet. Like I'll be holding this charred goblin. That's what I think would work for me.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good.
That's the worst idea I've ever heard.
That's actually not the greatest insult you've ever given, so I'll take it.
Touche.
Let's go with 2d6 plus charisma.
I'm going to help by using my little groundhog feet to make the feet move too.
Gotcha. So if this works, half of you will be across to, there's an opening in this kind of tunnel on the other side. So that's where you're trying to get to. So so 2d6 plus charisma plus 1 for Hazel. Jelly, you kind of run a few feet. One of the goblins that got burned just was kind of a lost cause immediately. So you kind of pick him up and hide behind him, and with a terrifying pantomime kind of move this thing with you behind it amongst the flickering shadows along the outskirts of this cavern. 2d6 plus charisma. Tell me how you do.
Okay, I got 8 plus 1 is charisma. Is 9.
And one more for me.
I got 10.
Ronaldo and Gregory, you watch with absolute astonishment as Jelly and Hazel in groundhog form puppeteer a dead goblin in such a way as to make it look like it's just slowly meandering along the outskirts. This goblin on stilts has kind of reasserted its authority over the rest of the goblins, and they do not notice this other goblin walking. And there's no reason why this should work. It is astonishing. But sure enough, they make it to the tunnel on the other side.
Hey, there's a goblin.
What? Well, Gregory,
Goblins are so stupid.
should we just try the same thing, or do you have a better idea?
Something tells me we lack the whimsy to pull that off.
I have plenty of whimsy.
Well, I don't.
You can be then you support me, and I will marionette this dead goblin.
Good God.
And I defiantly grab a charred goblin corpse, and I start doing the same thing.
Mind you.
All right, here we go.
Okay, 2d6 plus charisma. Gregory, are you really helping, or are you just going through the motions?
You better really be helping.
I don't actually want to fight 25 goblins right now. I'd like to fight 5 goblins, but not 25. So I am going to help.
All right.
I don't want us to die.
2d6 plus charisma plus 1, but a -1 because there shouldn't be more than one goblin patrolling the perimeter of this room, so maybe it's a little strange.
So +1 -1 plus my charisma 12.
Mhm. Well, I'll be damned.
I have plenty of whimsy, Gregory.
And like the happiest marionette dancing on the street of Pilgrim's Road during the festival, this goblin is kind of bouncing and bounding around the outside. Gregory, you're kind of kicking its legs along.
Now, cha-cha with me, Gregory.
I don't know what that is.
It's like a magic, but fun.
And you kind of you follow the same path. This goblin, the stilted axe goblin, is yelling and screaming, and it looks like its speech, sermon, religious oration, whatever it is kind of coming to like this big climax. And so you really start kind of hustling as the goblin. And right before the big stilted chief goblin says the equivalent of "and break," you all kind of dive into this tunnel. You kind of prop the dead goblins up, and you all start kind of rushing through the cave.
All I'm gonna say is that I aced my puppetry class in Bardic College. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so you all kind of continue on. But the problem is the goblins that were in this big cavern, they're now done listening to their the biggest one of them. And they're all now actually starting to scatter. So you actually start hearing the sound of goblin kind of running footsteps behind you.
Can we does anyone know how to cause a cave-in that we can just book this? We can just run this way and cave in that way so they can't chase us.
I can do my best. Hey, Rock. I know you've been through a lot with these fellas. Would you mind, as soon as we're past, could you just crumple a bit?
So this is not a complicated ask for the Rock. The rock and stone and dirt of this hill have been really done a great disservice by these goblins. The rocks kind of hum to you in their own way.
I love the rocks hum.
Yeah, it's just this nice kind of like you're hearing a drum in the distance kind of thing. This nice peaceful, or you know what it sounds like? It sounds like there's a party going on in the town square, and you said your hellos at that party, and then you returned to your home and you pulled the sheets up and you can still hear that party in the distance. Yeah. That's what it sounds like when you talk to rocks. Mm-hmm. These rocks do not like those goblins. Reason being, these goblins aren't even from here. These goblins came from somewhere else and started ripping the inside of this hill apart. So they are more than willing to shift their positions to try to close this tunnel behind you. Here's how this is going to work. This is going to be, they are a very, very willing participant in this stunt. So this is going to be 2d6 plus your constitution plus 1. Here's how it's going to work, though. For whatever you get, it's going to be 12 minus your number that you tell me will be the number of goblins that end up making it through this collapse before everything collapses.
Okie dokie.
Good luck.
So it's 2d6 plus my constitution.
Plus 1, because these rocks are not a fan of these goblins wrecking their living situation.
Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. You got a 6.
Okay, so the you're all kind of running, and Hazel is kind of humming towards the ceiling, and you're pretty sure the ceiling is humming back. And eventually you start feeling this vibration in the wall. Goblins are indeed kind of running, not necessarily chasing you, but they're just running and scattering back to do whatever it was they need to do now. And then all of a sudden there is, in fact, this big collapse. A lot of the goblins kind of see it happening, and some stop and some surge forward. And about half a dozen of them do indeed surge forward. With kind of the burst of kind of choking dust and dirt, you all kind of instinctually have to stop because you don't want to like run into a wall and knock yourself out. And so you're all kind of in this darkened, sooty cave, like waiting for kind of dust to settle, like, you know, holding lanterns and stuff, but it's not, but it's not penetrating more than a foot or two in any direction. And so it's really just all of you like huddled together around a lantern as dust is settling in this darkness. And all you can hear is your breathing. And eventually the dust starts to clear. And you start seeing another light in the distance. And you start hearing other breathing. And then that light starts getting closer. And before you know it, half a dozen goblins see you, scream, draw knives, and charge.
All right. Gregory, you got your witch.
They're waiting for this. Dueling, give me strength. Give me strength. I'm going to punch one of these right in the face with a 3.
Oh, okay.
No, a 4.
So they kind of charge forward. You raise your armored cestus, and you hear the voice of Doolin, the spirit, the warrior spirit that inhabits your fighting gauntlets. And Doolin says, goblins, disrespectful of the earth and disrespectful of everyone else. And you're like, yeah, and you're so excited, and Doolin's excited, and everyone's excited, and you're about to throw a big, wide, cut one in half swing when 4 of them leap at the same time and tackle you and slam you into the ground. And it's just knives. It's just all knives. And you take 4 damage reduced by armor, but 4 damage nonetheless. It's like rats running over a piece of meat. Who's going next?
I draw my brand new dueling rapier of fire, yet to be named.
And the second it comes out, you just feel it start to heat up.
For those who have defiled this land, I shall slay thee! And I try and stab as many as I can in one stab.
Go for it. 2d6 hack and slash.
That would be a 10.
Nice. That's 2 of them. You kind of come in formal dueling stance, and the 2 that are not trying to crack Gregory open like a pistachio kind of are trying to hit you on the second line, and you come in and this you end up kind of parrying a knife away and stabbing the first one. And by the time you're done with that, the heat of your blade has gotten so hot that the second stab actually slices clean off the crude, like, leather hide that this goblin is wearing as armor. And yeah, the 2 of them drop and scream and hiss.
Start bursting into flames too, correct?
That second.
It smells worse. It smells worse.
Yeah, that's now cooking. The goblin is now cooking, and it's a bad time.
All
right, who's next?
Okay, I'm gonna unsheath my rapier, and also I have a single rusted potato in my pocket, so I'm gonna hack and slash. But first, I'm gonna throw a potato to confuse.
Awesome, I love it. Let's go with Jelly hack and slash. I'm gonna give you a +1 because of your potato distraction. Tell me what you got.
I got a 4.
All right. So you throw the potato. It hits Gregory hard in the helmet. And the goblins, incensed, are now starting to claw at his face. One of them, Jelly, kind of scrambles off and sees you and runs towards you, stabs you. You take 4 damage. Now there are 3 that are mistaking Gregory's face for a potato, and one that is tussling with you. These things just move fast. Hazel, you're next.
All right, I'm gonna just pounce at the one attacking Jelly and just nod his face.
Okay, that is one angry groundhog. 2d6 hack and slash. Tell me how you do.
That is one angry, slippery groundhog.
9.
All right.
Slippery, stinky groundhog.
So there's there are two battles being fought right now. A battle between Goblin and Groundhog, and a battle between their respective stenches. And it's a melange, and it's a lot. But yeah, this Goblin's never fought a Groundhog before. And so you're kind of darting and moving. You dive, you sink your teeth in, you're pulling out chunks of Goblin. The Goblin quickly disengages from Jelly, beats a hasty retreat. And that's the thing about these things, is when they retreat, they just go. You're in a cave with the walls collapsed. Like, they shouldn't retreat anywhere. But nope, that Goblin is out. All right. There are now 3 left. You've taken down 3. Gregory, those 3 are conveniently all on you right now. So what do you want to do?
Well, I'd like to attempt to grab one and use it as a weapon to smash the others.
Sounds good. 2d6 hack and slash.
Good Lord. 5.
Okay.
Damn it.
This is Ronaldo, Hazel, Jelly. You have seen Gregory Chitbeard, famed legionary, fight to defend Etama. You have seen him coordinate the defeat of an earth elemental. He was bestowed upon him near holy dwarven battle relics. Thudmeric, the pillar of empire in the Knights of Prospect, sings of Gregory's battle prowess far more gloriously than she talks of anything she's ever done. You know with certainty that the deadliest living being you have ever seen is Gregory. But right now, you're pretty sure that those goblins have gotten under his armor and are now just stabbing him in the belly.
Oh, God.
Gregory, you take 4 more damage. And Ronaldo, it is your...
I would like to try and use Gregory's, I assume, lingering slipperiness to push off the goblins, like with a roundhouse kick or a well-placed palm heel strike to just get him free.
I love it. That sounds great. Let's go. I'll call that a hack and slash, and I'll give you a +1. Because,
okay.
You're using the best asset that Gregory has right now, which is his slipperiness.
All right. I need you nice and not this, and I push for a 9.
Okay, that's pretty good. So yeah, Ronaldo, you kind of run forward and kind of bull rush and start sliding and shoving these things off them. And these goblins are kind of scrambling for purchase on Gregory, but they can't hold on to anything, especially with you kind of shoving and like pommel striking at them. And yeah, you end up you end up killing a goblin, and then the other 2 are kind of thrown backwards and are back on their feet. Who's next? Is it Jelly or Hazel? I think it's Jelly.
Yeah. So I would like to use some of my oil of Tajit on my rapier, and this will put the goblin that I slash into sleep. They will go to sleep, and they will no longer consume Gregory's face as if it was a potato pie.
That's very fair. All right. So yeah, you quickly... your rapier's out, like with your offhand, you uncork the oil, you spread it on the blade, and you come in and attack one of them. So give me a hack and slash and tell me how you do.
All right. Hack and slash. I got a 7.
All right, that's enough. So, you end up kind of stabbing one. It stabs you back.
My clavicle.
Yeah, you take another 4 damage. Is that... What are you at hit points wise right now?
16, 17, 24. No, 22, I think.
That's more than you had previously.
Hit points. Hit points. I'm at 16, I think.
Okay. That means you've taken 16 damage. So you started at 14. You've taken 16. So here's what happens. Everybody is Jelly has like this poison dripped sword, and this goblin kind of sees this. And this goblin also has some kind of poison dripping sword. And the two of them start kind of dueling. They're roughly the same size as they're kind of tumbling and moving. And kind of at the same moment, both of them stab the other one in the leg. Relatively, painful, but not a fatal blow. And after like a second or two, they both look at each other and they both pass out.
Okay, well, I pull out my mandolin and I start strumming to try and heal Jelly.
Gotcha. So, Ronaldo, you start on that. We will deal with that in a second. Hazel, there is one goblin left. It is scrambling all over Gregory. What do you want to do?
Well, unlike a regular groundhog, I still got my horns, so I'm going to gore this thing right in the rump.
Go for it.
Oh, no. 4.
Okay. Now, how many hit points do you have left, Hazel?
8.
Okay. So this goblin, you are a galloping, stinky groundhog, and you kind of leap, and the goblin jumps off of Gregory. You jump onto Gregory, slide across his armor like a slip and slide, slam yourself into the wall. The goblin then kind of stands back up and is not sure necessarily where you went, and is now standing in front of Gregory. And Gregory, finally, you are able to get back to your feet.
And that was the last thing I could do as a groundhog. So I'm mean.
Yeah. And now you're slowly starting to morph back into your normal shape. Ronaldo, you are starting to strum and kind of fill this cave with healing energy. Depending on what Gregory does, we will see what that does. So, Gregory, what do you want to do?
Kill.
Kill. Go for it, please.
Kill. 10.
All right. And with a series of blows that suggest the deep existential frustration of these last several seconds, that goblin is reduced to its component parts. We jump ahead a little bit in time. The caravan of loggers hauling back wagons of felled cleffy trees are working their way through one of the pleasant, dare I say, idyllic, empty valleys of the Theocracy of Enteresh. And they're talking about the hardships that they've had going over the endless plains. Because for them, the hardships of traveling around those hills and walking through the empty country is the boredom. For 3 solid days, they have been bored, and they are lamenting their boredom. But the boredom is interrupted on the morning of the 4th day as they see a party come down from the hilltop, cutting all various shapes and figures. And they're not sure who it is. One of them looks heavily armored. They all look armed. They're pretty sure that one of them was a bird until it landed. And so they kind of get ready for whatever is coming. But as they come into view, this party, they realize it is 4 badly injured adventurers.
Going our way.
We are.
My name is Ronaldo. These are my friends. We just need help.
And with that, you all rejoin the caravan that you essentially helped set up to fell all those trees several days ago. And you are a ragged company, but
I start passing around some pipe leaf. Got some
thank
healing
you.
in it.
So I will have you know, John, I rolled for my heal check to see if it worked a 6, but because I have the oath to help the helpless, I get a +1, and then to heal, rolled a 1. So you only get healed 1.
Yep. So yeah, the 4 of you, 4 powerful Knights of Prospect, cut a bit of a ragged figure as you escort this caravan back to Technus. So we will end it right there.
Gosh.
This
What?
is a mess.
What a mess.
Fucking goblins.
Oh,
We were too slippery, and they didn't care.
Ugh.
when that goblin stabbed me in the clavicle, all I could think about was the charcuterie gnome.
Yeah.
That's all I could
Flashback.
You had to
immediately.
get back to him.
Tell us how you feel.
Like, you think about all of the adventures you've been on. You are draped in glory. Your names echo in song. But it was 2 traps and half a dozen goblins in a cave, and they chewed you up like bubblegum.
I will say our goblin puppetry is amazing though.
Oh yeah, that's something that we can all agree on.
The one thing that worked.
The
The
only
one time we
reason
didn't roll garbage.
Yeah.
the theme of the adventure was the number 6
Mhm.
and not being prepared.
Right.
Mm.
Well, you know what, adventurers, you did a great job, and all of you adventurers at home or wherever you are listening or watching this, thank you for adventuring along with us. This is our 30th episode, and believe it or not all of them are as nearly deadly as this one. If you
God.
want to see or hear what we have been doing in the past, we recommend going to YouTube to look up Knights of Prospect to see all of our adventures right there on YouTube, all 30 of our episodes. Our first 17 episodes, which we consider season 1, are also up as the Knights of Prospect podcast, available where you get your podcasts. We strongly recommend it. The sound engineering is magnificent. There is a great original song by Melissa Carubia of Minus World. It is a great, great, great podcast to listen to see what all of these folks have been up to before they were nearly killed in the Goblin Cave.
A big thank you to Sam Hoare / Chauncey the Tech for teching us today.
The real magic.
Throw that in there.
Yeah, the true magic here. Sam Moore in the booth.
Magic.
So yeah, actually, Sam does magic on screen and off screen. Speaking of magic, you know it's a really magical place? 2MB Studios right here on Twitch.tv. If you like listening and watching comedy on Twitch, well, good news, this isn't the only show on the channel. There are tons and tons and tons of great shows on there, from comedy shows that involve building art in real time, called Once Upon a Doodle, to an entirely fictional, lore-rich wrestling league called Quarantine Action Wrestling, to game shows and trivia shows of all types. We strongly recommend following the channel or paying a little bit of money to subscribe. That would help us out quite a bit. Also, if you like spending money on things that are comedy related, go to 3weeks.courses. There are many great classes you can take, including one that I'm particularly fond of because I teach it, called improv for role playing, or improv and role playing. It is how to, I essentially teach you how to run a game like we are running right now, which is a mix of improv techniques and fantasy game mastering techniques. It's very, very fun. You'll learn a lot, not just from my class, but on any class you sign up for at 3weeks.courses. It is incredibly well curated educational adventure. So everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We are so happy to have you, and we will see you next week. Stay out of the way of goblins, everybody.
Thank you.